guys, I'm Dr. Jenny White, a dentist in Sarasota, Florida, and her fearless patient, Susan, with our new and exciting podcast, Open Wide, Be Careful What You Tell Your Dentist. Over the past 25 or so years, I've been sitting in a little room talking to myself all day, and I've gained a lot of wisdom through that process, which I want to share with you. We are two women in our mid-whatevers who want to have fun and talk about our daily lives in a Seinfeld kind of way, although we admit we are far from Jerry Seinfeld in the humor department. We hope our podcast casts optimism and fearlessness to you, so you can remember that you can rise to the top, stay at the top, and dream bigger than you've ever imagined. So on today's podcast, the soup du jour is forgiveness. Now stay with me, guys. I have a question. Do you want a calm, focused, and beautiful mind? I do. And as you may be noticing with our Open Wide podcast, my mind tends to take a topic and jump off a cliff with it. So here we go. We're on our way to you having a calm, focused, and beautiful mind by talking about forgiveness. So forgiveness is something that I think we're all familiar with verbally. We've all heard it. We've all been told we need to do it. But what is it? It's kind of a weird thing to ask. Like, what is forgiveness? So I asked myself as my mind jumps off the cliff with the very few neurons that I contain in my brain here, I asked myself, what does forgiveness mean in a communist country? What does it mean in North Korea? Not South Korea, North Korea. What's the definition? And the question came about because I subscribed to this amazing podcast called Socrates in the City. It was originally a podcast out of San Francisco. Now they interview super fantastic, interesting people all over the world. You should check that out. Anyhow, they interviewed, and I'm probably not going to pronounce her name correctly, but Yeonmi Park. This is a girl that escaped communist North Korea in 2007 at age 13. And when I hear her speak, she has, in essence, forgiven what's happened to her. I can't wrap my head around the mental and physical damage that she endured, and yet her determination that her little soul possesses. She was around people that tried to strip her soul from her body, and she's forgiven them. But back to our topic. So I go to Perplexity, my little search engine that I love, and it says that forgiveness in North Korea is tied to loyalty and obedience to the state rather than interpersonal or emotional reconciliation. It's rarely about relationships, but with the government controlling narratives of wrongdoing and pardon. Which brought me to my next thought, which is this forgiveness thing is an absolute privilege that we get to do that here. It's not something that you have to do, but this is a privilege. If you're in a communist country, technically you can't forgive unless you're forgiving the government or something to do with the government. So I feel like we need to embrace this. And just kind of coming full circle with that thought put me in a much more relaxed state, because I don't know about you guys, but I don't like being told what to do. There comes a certain point in your life after you go through your education or your career or your jobs or whatever, and you've been told what to do your whole life. I don't want to be told what to do. So I don't have to do this. It's a privilege. I don't have to ask my patients for the name of a qualified psychotherapist because I have something else I need to work on. Nope. This is a privilege. Susan, what do you think about this? Well, I know you've never thought about this as far as a communist country, but what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's interesting that you brought that element into this discussion because I had never thought about it before, and I will think about it some more. But sort of the off the top of my head reaction is that forgiveness is something that you do for yourself, not so much for anybody else. And just releasing any anger or any resentment that you have toward the other person frees you, versus it helping anybody else. And let me also say that there are certain things that I am sure are unforgivable, and rightly so in people's minds. If you were raped, if you were kidnapped as a child, if a family member was murdered, I'm drawing from the most direst of situations, and you would have a right not to forgive. But when you do forgive, you do release yourself more than giving any kind of absolution to the perpetrator. Um, the definition I looked up is forgiveness is a conscious decision to release negative emotions like resentment, anger, or vengeance towards someone who has harmed you. It's not about forgetting the offense. This is important. It's not about forgetting the offense or condoning the behavior, but it's about choosing to let go of the hurt and move forwards. Forgiveness can be a process of understanding, compassion, and empathy for the person who has wronged you. But it's really all about what you're doing for you.
That is beautiful. I feel like we could wrap this podcast right there. Like that was so beautiful. I love that. The hurt that some people have endured, the tragedies, the horror, whatever it is, it undeniably happened. But again, this is you as a human being, you as a human soul, wanting to move beyond it, wanting to move it. And when I opened, I asked, kind of like a circus announcer, who wants a calm, focused, beautiful mind? That kind of leads you to a calm, focused, and beautiful mind state when you choose that you want to move beyond this.
Yeah.
Not forget it, but move beyond it.
Yeah, and in some ways it opens up some additional possibilities for you as well. I have a personal story around this. I had a friend, a very close male friend who was like a brother to me. And several years ago we had this falling out, and it was this sort of egregious falling out. But anyway, it was a falling out. We were estranged from each other. And now several years later, people have moved on. Some people have died. The years have gone between us. And we happened to be seated next to each other at an event recently, just by happenstance. We just were seated next to each other. And so this gave us an opportunity to kind of catch up on each other's lives. And we picked up sort of where we left off with the banter and the humor and the fun. And the entire time we were talking, we were together for like 3 hours at this event. I kept thinking to myself, oh, I wish you hadn't thrown a meat cleaver in the middle of our relationship, because it was a beautiful relationship and I really loved this person. But I was able to forgive him and for the things that hurt me and others that I loved around me. And I was able to forgive him, which meant that we could sit together and have this, extraordinary kind of reunion. It's not going to change the timbre of our relationship going forward, because you can't put the genie back in the bottle and things are never the same again. You can't go home again. But it was a beautiful way of saying, this is how forgiveness is working for me in this situation. I forgiven him, and we had 3 hours of real fun, and we were able to do that just because of my ability to say, I'm not going to hold on to this anger or this resentment any longer.
I almost wish, hearing that story, that I would be put into that circumstance with somebody in particular that I need to forgive.
Okay.
Because I do have a couple people that I still am working on truly forgiving, but I think being front and center, face to face, sitting next to them would kind of help speed me along in that process.
Yeah.
That's almost like divine intervention, if you ask me.
I think you're right. I think it is divine intervention. And also take your time, because this doesn't happen overnight. You need to process. So don't force it. But at the time when it feels right, see if you can make it happen.
And I also, I don't know, I want your take on this. I also feel like the forgiveness process, you have to put your pride aside. You have to say the right and the wrong. I'm right, he's wrong, she's right, he's wrong, whatever it is. You got to set that off to the side, because that's the thing that keeps us from not being able to let go and move beyond being right.
Right, I agree, but it's a process, and don't ignore the steps of the process either.
Which brings us to, what do you think are some of the steps of the process? Do you think time is a big step to the process?
Definitely. Oh, definitely, it's time. I would say that's the number one step, is that you're putting time between the event and you, And then as time goes on, things around you change. People die, people are no longer in the picture. I mean, there's just so the whole thing changes. But time absolutely is the first step.
I think so too. And, a lot of times I get stuck in my mind, my ego. And as Wayne Dyer, the wonderful Wayne Dyer said, ego means edging God out, which makes me feel like I've got a lot of work to do still in myself. But anyway, that's another podcast. When I'm in that right and wrong phase, it's almost like my intensity towards the situation, towards the meat cleaver in the relationship intensifies, which is not helping me. It's actually leading me away from forgiveness.
Interesting.
I don't know. Do you ever find yourself getting lost in your ego?
I'm sure. Yeah, no, I'm absolutely sure of that. And I mean, everybody's human, like you, of course. And I also think that, people have different standards for the way things should happen. And when it doesn't fit your standard, you're more wounded, than another person might be. But yeah, absolutely.
I agree. It's interesting, the things that wound us.
Yeah.
Like what would wound me might be not even anything you'd give any thought to.
Yeah. Yep. I think
interesting.
You're right.
And now for our tip of the podcast.
Oh, yeah, the tip of the podcast. And actually, it's with dental floss. You'll be happy to know.
Oh.
And I know you've got plenty hanging around your house. I had to go into the junk drawer and find it out.
Don't tell me
I'm
this.
only kidding.
Don't tell me this.
But recently we had a event at my office, a going away cake for somebody, and we didn't have a knife. But we had dental floss because it sits on my desk. My dental floss does. And so here's a way to cut a cake or a cheesecake, or in this case, a muffin, if you don't have a knife, okay? Pull a string of dental floss, like maybe 12 inches, and wrap it around your 2 index fingers. And then just slice through. Like, you've never seen this before, have you? Neither had I until recently. And there you go. Now you've got, in this particular case, a muffin in 4 pieces, or a cake in like 12 pieces, which is what I used the other day. How amazing is that?
I have to tell you. So I'm sitting here. Let me give the visual for all of our listeners, all 3 of them. I'm watching Susan. She has this ginormous muffin, which looks amazing. She has the string of dental floss. She just gently took it all the way through the muffin, and it cut like butter. Cut like butter. So I would say, as a dentist, cut your muffin, floss your teeth.
There's
cut
another
your cakes,
good reason for dental floss.
Floss your teeth.
Yeah.
Dental floss uses. We should do a podcast.
We should. We should. Oh, that's funny.
So, another thing that I think of is I don't want something that happened with a person long time ago to define who I am now. I don't want it. I don't want it lingering in my head. I don't want it affecting my personality now. And that's another reason for me that I do work on forgiveness. And I actually work on it every day. When I do my little morning routine, I'm trying to forgive and mentioning some people that I need to forgive. And I feel that that's an important step in me being a better person, because if I hang on to all of these emotions that are not serving me, like not forgiving, I don't know if that's an emotion, but if I hang on to it and I go into my dental practice and, I'm all jacked up or worked up about whatever, and my mind isn't clear and my thoughts aren't clear and my heart isn't open, patients pick up on that.
Yeah.
And so for nothing else, I want to be the best I can be every day when I help my patients. So for me, that's a big driver to let go and realize the thing that happened to me by X, Y, and Z at age 12 doesn't have to affect me when I'm 40 years old. I can forgive that person. I can let that go.
Yeah. Yes, I think that's absolutely true and absolutely right. Your emotional well-being is so defined by how much anxiety and stress that you have in your life. And so the more you can get rid of things that are pulling you down, particularly if they're old, the better.
Yeah. And the anxiety and the stress doesn't allow you to sit down and go, I want to forgive.
Yeah, and it doesn't allow you to think clearly either.
You can't think clearly.
Yeah.
No. And your mind is going 100 miles a minute. No, you're not clear. So setting aside my pride is step number one for me to allow to begin the forgiveness process. And that's not easy to do,
No.
especially if it's a heated subject where I know I'm right.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I have to do it. And again, it's a choice for me. It's not for anybody else. This is for me.
Right. Yeah, and once you're faced with death of a really close person to you, as I was with my husband last year, you realize life is too short to be giving any kind of space in your emotions, in your head, in your heart, for old stuff. Just move on, because there's a lot of other people out there who will be willing to do things for you in a way that you want it done. And so forgiving this situation so you can take on a new situation is important in the process.
Do you think that people have to experience a tragedy of some sort to get to this point?
Well, I don't know if you have to experience a tragedy, but it certainly is. It's instantaneous. Like, okay, like there isn't any more time left. Like we can't. I can't be putting up with craziness that I don't want in my life anymore. I need to forgive this situation and move on because I don't have any more time left. So I think that absolutely is a catalyst. But I also think age and experience is a catalyst as you move through life, and you have empathy for people in the situations they're in, because often people, when they wound you or they hurt you, it says more about them than it does about you. And once you realize that that's kind of where some of this might be coming, this bad behavior, for example, might be coming from, is from their own wounds, then you can say, okay, well, I'm not going to own it all. I might not even own any of it, but I'm definitely going to put a closure on it and move on, because now I've got my life, which is affected by this stress or this anxiety, and I don't want it anymore.
When I was in my 20s and 30s, I went through the process of saying, ooh, that's their issue, not mine. I'm not going to take that on. And then I took it on. I mean, I couldn't. I could not honestly forgive until I got older.
Yeah.
And I couldn't. And I think it's an immaturity thing.
Yeah. Experience is
thank
helpful. Yeah.
God I'm older. I
Yeah.
love being older.
Yeah.
Because I see so much clearer.
Right.
And I can see the end result of, if I choose to keep hanging on to this thing over here, it's just going to hurt me.
Yeah.
And who wants to be hurt?
Yeah.
On purpose.
Right. Yeah. Because you do it to yourself. As I say, forgiveness is more about you than it is about the other person.
Susan, that brings me to my next little item here, which is, I think we should have our drink of the podcast.
Okay.
And we should toast being older.
Shirley, you'll be rubbing your temples in the morning.
I love that name.
I just made it up. It's actually a bourbon bacon smash or something. It's bourbon bacon smash. And in it is 2 ounces of bourbon, 1 slice of cooked bacon. Actually, I used 2 slices, 1 ounce of maple syrup, a half an ounce of fresh lemon juice, and 4 to 5 fresh mint leaves. So you muddle the mint leaves and the maple syrup together. You add the lemon juice and add the bourbon and let it all infuse with the bacon. And then strain it when you're ready to serve. But it's pretty refreshing, isn't it? It's kind of Kentucky Derby-ish.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I'm at the Derby. Where's my hat? This is lovely. But it's very potent.
Yeah.
I mean, the bourbon rises to the top.
Yeah.
Your lips meet the bourbon first.
Yep. Did you taste the bacon? I don't know if it's good. Maybe I could have used more bacon. I don't know.
I don't know where the bacon is. I mean, I can see some bacon, but I think maybe if we had like the bacon as a little snack.
Oh, that'd be great.
That might be great.
Yeah.
This is a wonderful drink, and it's called again.
Shirley, you'll be rubbing your temples in the morning. That its real name is.
I love it.
No, its real name is Bourbon Bacon Smash.
I love it.
Look it up online.
I love it. Thank you, Susan. So getting back to our topic du jour, forgiveness, I'd like to just discuss a couple of uplifting things here at the end as we sort of wrap this up. But Emily Dickinson is one of my favorite poets. And I don't know if anybody knew that I was into poetry, but I love poetry. I love reading poetry. And I especially love Emily. And Emily said in one of her poems, "Sweep your pride away, and trembling I forgave."
Mm.
And to me, that summarizes everything we've been talking about.
Mm. Yeah, it does. Except that, you need to go through the emotional process yourself. It's not easy to
Sure.
just say, "Oh, sweep it away." It requires thinking and doing and sitting with it for a while and then realizing one day, yeah, I don't want this anymore.
Sweep is a loaded word.
Mm.
Yeah, sweep means a lot of things, but I just found it so beautiful how she said, "Sweep your pride away, and trembling I forgave." I just think she's brilliant. And then, of course, Maya Angelou, she says, "'Tis the greatest gift you can give yourself. Forgive everyone."
Mm.
And
Well, she certainly did too. She lived a pretty
yes, she did.
balanced and beautiful life, and she gave back to a lot of people with her wisdom.
But it's think about that. Maya Angelou says that forgiveness is the greatest gift you can give yourself.
Yeah, I believe that's true. Yeah.
That's pretty powerful.
Mm.
I mean, and it makes me want to work on those people that I need to forgive even more if I'm going to get the greatest gift that I can give myself. So thank you, Maya. I would say in sort of closing here, forgiveness takes courage.
Mm.
Check mark. Forgiveness takes determination. Check mark. And let's forgive everyone.
Mm. And forgiveness takes time. It just does.
And
It
forgiveness
just really
takes
does.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the freedom that comes with it is magnificent, because then you can walk away and just say, "I'm sorry that you did that, and I'm sorry it changed the scope of our relationship, but I enjoyed what the positive parts were, and I'm moving on now."
And you don't realize the weight that holding on to that.
Yeah, it's true.
It's like a cloud,
Yeah, it's very true.
and it blurs your vision and it clogs your mind. And by releasing that, you're freeing yourself. Susan, I'd like to toast to being free.
Shirley, your temples are going to be rubbed in the morning.
All right, Shirley. Thank you. Thank you. That's a wrap. Well, I want to thank you for listening, and I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. If you did, please share the show with friends and family and subscribe to our YouTube channel. This way, you'll never miss weekly drops. Stay strong, dream big, and floss your teeth.